have what it takes. Tighten your belts. Shut your visor. The battle begins now.
Hello everyone and welcome to Race Department IndyCar World Series. I'm Kacper Kołodziejczyk and joining me in the booth today is Sam Carmichael, and as our cameraman we have Davy van der Ven. We're underway with qualifying today and we're just about starting, so since the laps are so short, it should be quite interesting. So what do you think of this, Sam?
I think it's going to be a very interesting race, especially since I think it will be a race of attrition. It's more about surviving the first couple of laps and not getting into any crashes and then going for the long runs in the race before you have to pit. But yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting for the drivers to give each other space, and we should be in for a great race.
Yes, it should definitely be very interesting and definitely a lot of tactician work. And of course, we have the actual proper pace car drivers who we'll introduce later on. As Frederick Schornstein is about to finish his first timed lap, and we have our qualifying sessions are composed of 3 timed laps and in a row, which are only about 40 seconds long. So our qualifying shouldn't last for very long, should it now? As Frederick Schornstein goes with first with 40.009 seconds.
A fast lap.
It indeed is a very fast lap. In practice, we've seen 39.7 or 8, if I recall correctly, but those may have been with draft. And of course, this is a completely private session, so every driver has to do their own laps. There is no draft whatsoever.
It'll be interesting to see what these drivers get up to in the qualifying session with no drafts, because as you said just then, a lot of drivers were running in the draft and hitting 39, 8s and 9s, but a 40 flat from Frederick instantly as his first lap is quite impressive.
As he crosses the line for the second time, doing a 39.8, of course. In qualifying, you also have very much more closed down radiators, and the cars are far more aerodynamic, which also increases the lap speeds and so on. Also, as Alex Di Domenicantoni is the second one to go through with a 40.072. And now we're starting to get drivers pouring in with their times, and more drivers going onto the track. And Frederick is about to finish his last lap, being the first driver to complete his qualifying session.
If he's going to improve on his time as he crosses the line. Just about.
Frederick
39.84.
Frederick, of course, being our championship leader as well, and he's last week, or not last week, but 2 weeks ago, he has mentioned that it is not his favorite type of racing around here, so we're going to have to see, but so far it's looking very good for the German. And we're getting more laps from Di Domenicantoni, going a bit quicker than his last time, but he's still 7 hundredths of a second off from Frederick. As Frederick goes around once again and does too many laps.
Will he get penalized for that? Is that against the rules?
I would think so.
He just completed his last lap, so if he goes back to the pits now and don't cross the line, he won't get penalized.
Oh, okay. So apparently he's not going to get penalized if he doesn't cross the line. Although that would mean he did 4 timed laps. It's a bit iffy.
It's according to the software we limit it, but we can control if someone's gonna do what Frederick's done. So yeah.
Well, that would make sense. And he is disqualified because he has done one too many laps.
Yep.
So the championship leader will be starting from the back of the grid.
Well, that was just a driver, nothing more to it, nothing less.
Yeah, but you have to consider also this is a 500-mile race, therefore 200 laps. So the the matter over here is not in terms of go off first and then hold your lead, but more of an endurance type race where you're only going to make more difference in the last 20 to 15 laps than actually the first 15 to 20 laps.
And I should probably mention that I should have introduced these two as well who have put their input in here. There are race directors, Mateus Machado and Lorenzo Bonder. I was about to mention them as they were driving our safety cars, or pace cars, if you will, later on in the race, but since they have decided to speak up, these are your race directors.
Blew your surprise, but hello everyone.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Are you two excited about the race as well?
I wish I could be doing the race in the IndyCar because I actually did a few laps in. But nevertheless, either me and Mateus get to lead a lap, but we won't get points. But we're excited, yes.
Of course. And by the way, our fourth place man in the standings, Charles Baccio, is also doing quite well. Third place so far with a 40.71. As is Tobias Roner, who's doing a 39.919. That's his best time, 0.005 of a second behind Alex. Alex, for the easier way of pronouncing.
It's also worth noting that this is a double points race as well.
It is very much a double points race, which could indeed mean that Matt Beavis or James Wilson may come out of this race with a lead in the championship. So Frederick is nowhere near being safe. So now we have more and more drivers crossing the line, as we have Campbell Wallace doing seemingly the same mistake as, possibly the same mistake as our championship leader did. Oh no, he has slowed down now. He's just putting in. So more and more drivers are getting their times in. We only have 6 drivers yet to do their laps, of which one is on track, two are on track, Ali Ferry and Standard Signal. Ali Ferry in 10th place at the moment and currently on a hot lap, not entirely sure how much faster or slower, but at 40.476, pretty safe in 10th place at the moment.
People in second and third in the championship.
Yeah, just a quick
yeah,
notice for everyone. Frederick has been undisqualified for qualifying because our factor didn't count his first lap on his dashboard, and the server did count it, although there was not any time being registered. So I just undequeued him because he did 3 hot laps instead of 4. So it's his lap time is valid.
So as we've heard, Frederick actually did not do anything wrong. It was just an R-factor bug that made him think that he did less laps than he did. And of course, when you're driving, it's not very easy to count laps, and you're mostly relying on your instruments, which meant that R-factor has played a trick on him this time around. Which means that he is given his place back, and he will be starting from pole position, which is definitely something he wants to see as the championship leader. Standard Signal goes 4th, and Ali Ferry improves as well into 6th. Really doing well for the two of them that decided to do late laps. Of course, the 2nd and 3rd place in the championship, Matthew Beavis and James Wilson, are yet to do their laps and are yet to even come out of the pits.
I'm waiting to see what they have in store, but they were also some of the 2 fastest guys in practice. I believe they can do a good lap too. Ali Ferry, I think, just did a little bit of a celebration coming into the pits, hitting the wall. I think of pure excitement. I never know.
Possibly.
It could be. It's only Matthew Beavis, James Wilson, and Sherwin yet to do their laps. Don't count me and Mateus. We're not going to do laps, of course. We're going to be very slow in our cars. But I think those 3 drivers can bring out. Still some places will be moved. I think those, especially James, will be probably in the top 3, most likely, judging by his pace. But you never know. They still have 9 minutes to go within this session, so they can do good laps. Talking about guys, Matthew Beavis is going out.
I can see that right now, and it'll be very interesting to see him slot into third place if he can manage to slot into that tiny little gap that's between Di Domenicantonio and Roner. That's a tiny gap if I've ever seen one.
Between fourth and fifth place, there's also a very tight gap, just 0.003 of a second.
Indeed, we do have quite a few tight gaps around here, but then again, it is an oval race. That means that we do have very, very tight lap times, and it's to be expected. Most of this lap is actually very much flat, and a lot of the corners are still fully flat, although there may be just a bit of a lift during a qualifying or the race, possibly with used tires. Very much depends on how the people treat it, how the people set up their cars, and what's the fastest way to go around here, to be honest.
Not only counting, there's the aero push factor in this track, which for those who play iRacing R Factor 2, they go in a drafting mode, bump draft someone, it's very highly likely that the aero push effect might, especially in this track, they will come off full effect. You're not going to get the proper corner or proper speed out of the corner that you want, so you're going to have to lift off your car, or don't consider braking, but lift off your car and try to maneuver the corner the best way you can and still gain some speed down in the line.
Of course, and as our second place man in the championship standings is just about to cross the line for the first time, he goes 6th fastest, and Sherwin van der Sloot is also on track. So what are your thoughts, Sam, about the whole very close grid and very close battle for the first couple spots?
I thought it was very interesting the way Matthew, Sherwin and James left it quite late, because might they be thinking there's more rubber down on the track at the moment, late in the qualifying session after everyone else has done the runs, and they can get a bit more speed.
It is possible, since from what I recall, the rubber does actually build up even though the cars are not visible, which is one thing you must keep in mind. As Matthew Beavis goes fastest, he improves on Frederick Schornstein time by 0.03 of a second. That's quite a feat. Now, only 2 more drivers can actually beat that time.
Sherwin is just on his lap now.
And Van der Sloot goes second. You might be completely right about the rubber, to be honest, because it seems like the track is very, very quick.
Yes, it'll definitely be interesting to see what James Wilson does now that these 2 drivers are have gone out, and he'll be the last one on track after these 2 have put the rubber down. So maybe James Wilson could go even quicker. Possibly,
although I would, as Matthew Beavis improves even more so now, 0.06 of a second faster than Sherwin. And I think he's backing off now. Yes, it was his last lap. So yeah, it's possible, but then again, only 2 drivers on a track wouldn't really give you too much rubber. Sherwin goes faster again as well, but it's 11,000ths of a second between the 2. That is some exciting battle near the end. Sherwin a bit further down in the standings, as I'll mention all of the standings later. But it is definitely battle for the lead in the qualifying session. James Wilson will have a target to beat. As Sherwin is about to cross the finish line for his final time. Can he go faster? And he goes faster than Matthew Beavis by 21,000ths of a second. Sherwin van der Sloot is at worst going to be second on the grid. I think that's quite exciting for the Dutchman.
It's a very impressive time. Now we just wait for James Wilson now come out onto the track and see what he can do.
I'm so glad that the drivers decided to come out one after another, because that means we can actually commentate on them. And we don't have a downtime of about 20 minutes or 15 minutes. But yes, of course, our previous race winner at Indy road course is still yet to come out. And we're going to have to wait and see how he does. But again, the track seems to be a bit more rubbered, maybe a bit more grip, and possibly have a bit more speed, as Sherwin and Matthew shown. It should definitely be quite interesting for James, although he's taking quite a bit of time. He's not even starting to go yet, even though it's basically the time to go. And as they are going to do their final race practice, we're going to go down through the standings in the championship. And of course, our leader at the moment is Frederick Schornstein at 136 points, followed by Matt Beavis at 105, followed by James Wilson just 1 point behind him at 104. Charles Batcho is at 82, Luke Walsh in 5th at 73.
Frederick will be put in the last place of the grid due to 4 quick laps during qualifying.
As we get information about Frederick Schornstein actually being disqualified from qualifying, therefore he will start last. But as I was saying, Luke Walsh is in 5th, and in 6th, Alex Dominic Antonio at 70, 7th Trevor Greenfield at 69, 8th Campfield Wallace at 65, Evan Spall at 62, Sharon van der Sloot at 61 in 10th, Ali Ferry at 59, Nathaniel Lupson at 54, Kyle Siegel at 50, Tapio Rineaho at 49, and Martin Vindis at 46, closes our top 15 in the standings. And now we're seeing a lot of drivers coming out and practicing a lot of the drafting, and as it is quite a bit different drafting here than it was in the last couple of rounds, it is an advantage on an oval. So, Sam, you finally get to see a bit of the actual proper action, not just a single car driving.
Yeah, it's very interesting watching these cars going out and testing their race setups now in traffic and see how they go in the middle of the draft. But an interesting development is that Sherwin has just left the race to restart his game after apparently a broken plug-in, but he's just joined back, so I don't think he's going to miss anything now.
I am pretty positive that that will keep his qualifying result, so hopefully he will be starting from pole position since he's our pole sitter. And of course that development we've just heard from Frederick Schornstein actually being disqualified after the little bit of messy information that we've gotten throughout the qualifying about the DQ and non-DQ, but in the end he did do 4 time laps, which are not allowed, and he was disqualified from qualifying. That means he will start last behind everyone else. So now that kind of is a big difference to the whole championship standings again, and we may see Matt Beavis take the lead at the end if Schornstein can't do something exciting and come down to the front, which is very possible as Indy 500 given.
Definitely, we've got 2 of the top 3 in the championship starting on the back row, which will be very interesting if anything is to happen on the first couple of corners or even the first laps. So keep an eye on that.
Indeed, top 2 of the two of the top 3 drivers are starting there. And Charles Batcho in 4th in championship standings has done quite well, I think, in top 5, top 6. I can't recall correctly right now, but he'll also be trying to gain quite a bit of points if he can on James Wilson. He is 22 points behind at the moment. So that's one driver that will be looking to get as much out of the race as possible, with a bit of a disappointing result possibly at Indianapolis, in which he barely withstood the attacks in the top 10. If I recall correctly, it was have a bit of a shady memory at the moment. And we've got some practice pit stops as well, since pit stops will be a big part of it. And of course, tire management will be one of the things, although not nearly as big as last time. The biggest part will be fuel. And maybe the biggest part of this whole endeavor.
Looks like the warm-up is over now.
It is indeed over, and we're now going to wait for people to finish their final laps and for our Factor 2 to move onto the race. So in the race, before the race, we will have 5 minutes of a bit of a down period where for 2.5 minutes people can exit pits, and we will have them do reconnaissance laps. From there on, they will have 2.5 minutes to actually get to their pit boxes, which should be, or not pit boxes, but their starting boxes, which should take a lot less of time. Then they will have to wait for the race start, which will then be preceded by one of the safety cars leading the pack, and we will do a manual rolling start. So that'll be your start, and that's why we have a 201 laps technically, while it will be a 200 lap race. As we go, this is our manual start. So now we have a safety car going to the front, and now we start our pace lap. As Van der Sloot starts going, and we will now have everyone go, I think, double file. And we, as our leader, I think can choose if he wants to go left or right lane. I'm not entirely sure, but now we see Frederick moving back as well as he should. But that smoking engine of Andrew Harper is not a good sign at all. Last time we've seen smoking engines, the engine has failed after about 20 or 30 minutes. So you should not be running these cars too hot under any circumstances. But it could also be that he was just overheating the car because he was standing still.
Yes, but now we're getting into the radiator. It's hard to cool down all the oil and water temperatures.
So for anyone who's not that into the technical side of race cars, and especially Formula cars, your car at home may have a little fan that makes the radiator work even if your car is standing still. In race cars, and especially Formula car style cars, so open wheelers, etc., the radiators do not have any fans or any moving air on them at all. And if the car is standing still, the air there gets so hot that the engine basically does not get cooled. And that is why a car should be moving to cool it down in a Formula race. And if you're standing still for too long with an engine on, it will overheat. As we're about to make our way through the third corner, and we're about to go green in just a half a corner or so, or maybe a corner and a couple 100 meters. We do have a double file start. We have Van der Sloot leading with Matthew Beavis on his side. We'll see who can make it first to the first corner. Van der Sloot taking the inside line. As Van der Sloot goes, and he leaves them to dust. Matthew Beavis having a bit of a bogged down start, and Dominic Antonio is about to overtake him. Alex is about to be second. That's very, very good start for the Italian. As he will now try to catch up to Van der Sloot, who's on his own, and being on your own on an oval is not an advantage under any circumstances. And behind, we have a lot of battles, seemingly. We have Batchu trying to overtake Roner, and overtaking Beavis possibly. No, he decides better of it. But Roner is still keeping up side by side for the third corner, going into fourth. Can he keep up? Batchu is not closing his doors, but he is keeping in front on the outside. Of course, Nobles, he can do that, and right behind him we also have a little scrap between Ollie McGowan and Tal Siegel going side by side into the first corner. Well, that's quite exciting. Tal Siegel now overtook him and is about to overtake Ali Ferry, doing very well on the inside, but now on the outside, Ali Ferry going a bit quicker, and Ollie McGowan going quicker again. It's of course it depends on the outside. You of course have a bit more speed with these cars, as long as you can keep the grip. But then Tal is on the on side by side of Ali again, and he has done it out of the fourth corner. Oh dear. Well, that seems like it's not an end of the story though. Well, behind we still have more battles, but
we have someone coming into the pit lane.
And we have our first pitter. Olizarovic is pitting in from pretty far down in the order, but with this doesn't look like damage, so would you think it's something with miscalculation on fuel or not adding enough fuel after qualifying?
I mean, if he's accidentally fueled it for the qualifying setup, that's quite a mistake. But, Andrew Harper is now in second to last place, but he seems to be running very off the pace at the moment.
Yes,
So-
as we've seen, he's run very well off the pace during the qualifying as well. And Tal Siegel has now made some gap to Ali Ferry and is now trying to catch up to Stana Senol, and who is in a bit of a, I guess, right before which is a bit of a scrap between Runer and Batu still. And with all that, we also have that Dida Antonio is only a second behind Sherwin, so are we going to see some battle for the lead, would you think?
I think if he can get in the draft, yeah, he's definitely going to be catching up on these long straights. With obviously no one's in front of Sherwin to punch a hole through the air for him to draft, so I think Alex will definitely be catching up within the next few laps.
As you say that, he's visibly getting closer. He's getting closer to 0.8 of a second at worst at the moment, and he is catching some draft now. I think he's really starting to catch up.
Oh, and we have Olazarowicz spinning out on the inside apron. He's going to come back onto the track. No, he's staying on the apron.
That is, of course, the danger if you have cold tires and coming out, because that exit from the pits is actually quite dangerous. It's a flat exit, and you can't go nearly as quickly as you can on the actual track, because of course of the track's camber. And if it's completely flat, you don't have that grip, and even if it's just a little bit, it feels quite a lot in the car.
I think we can expect Olazarowicz to come back into the pits now with his because them tyres will be quite badly flat spotted.
Yes, as we have Senol and Batu going side by side for 5th place. So Batu lost the place to Runer, and now Senol wants a bit of him. And as all that is happening, they're so ever so close. As that is happening, Kyle Siegel is right behind them. Batu's going
Harper has now entered the pit lane.
Senol has hit the wall on the exit of 4, which has slowed him down substantially, as Segel is going side by side with Batu and going into 5th place into turn 1. And as all that is happening, we have Dida Antonio less than half a second behind Van der Sloot, now properly using that draft. So, yeah, this looks like quite a battle for the lead, doesn't it?
Oh, he just looked like he got out of shape then going through turn 3.
I think he wasn't expecting as little grip on the front end as he got. And now we're so close. It's going to be a battle into turn 1. Can he do it? They can, but they touch. They're into the wall, at least Alex is, but hopefully not enough damage to make it matter too much. But that was not a clean move. And Van der Sloot has lost out on that touch.
As that battle was happening, we have our first retirement from the race. Andrew Harper has left the race.
With his pace, I'm not that surprised. Oh. Also, we have another battle for 8th place, apparently, between Ali Ferry and Preston Khalili, as well as Oli McGowan. They're all going into each other draft, and Khalili is going to side by side through turn 1 of Ali Ferry. As McGowan may use that because Khalili is a bit slow out of turn 1, but no, the lack of grip that you get through turn 2 will hurt you. As McGowan is being overtaken by our championship leader, Schornstein, is going into 10th place from the last. I think he's advancing quite quickly.
Yes, definitely compared to James Wilson. James Wilson's still down in 14th at the moment, so...
Yeah, he may just not be feeling confident in those cars, as Van der Sloot was only 1/10 behind on that timing line. Dida Antonio hits the wall as Matthew Beavis is trying to attack for the lead, and there is a touch between Van der Sloot and Dida Antonio again. That is not what we want to see at all.
It definitely looks like that first collision on the first corner when Domenico Antonio overtook Van der Sloot, that there might have been some damage on each cars, and this is slowing them down, causing Matthew Beavis to advance to the front now.
I wouldn't be surprised at all, because any touch on an oval does mean quite a bit of damage, and R-Factor 2 can simulate damage quite well. At times, it very much depends on the mod and your specific cars. But Matthew Beavis in where he wants to be exactly, in the lead. Although, and what I'm seeing from Sherwin is that he has to drive a bit sideways. He actually has to drag his tires to the point on the corners that he is leaving skid marks every time he turns. Which definitely will kill his right-hand tire a lot quicker than it should be. Who is our second slow driver? It's Wallace, Campbell Wallace, and Ollie McGowan. Ollie McGowan without a rear wing, he is going to have to make a lap with heavy damage and very dangerous car to drive.
Yeah, that car's looking like it's squirreling all over the road. I'll be surprised if he can keep it at that speed going through the corners.
It's a very difficult thing. You would think that those cars have barely any aerodynamic grip, considering those little wings are not wings, they're wingless essentially, but they still require so much downforce to keep them on track. But Wallace is there without real visible damage, but he is still going slowly from what I'm seeing. But he is not putting in as McGowan makes it in. As Sherwin is kind of keeping up with Beavis, he is 7/10 of a second behind him at the moment, and probably going to try and keep up with that distance and possibly reel in at one point. As behind them, side by side, Schoenstein and Siegel as Schoenstein does hit the grass, and Senel overtakes him. So Senel really high up as Senel goes a bit squirrely, barely not hitting the wall and keeping it together somehow in an oval car. That's amazing. Schoenstein lost a couple of spots on the start, but definitely challenged there up there, and he is in 7th place. How insane is that to start from the last and be 7th already?
Another big mover as well, who's definitely gained a lot after that restart, is James Wilson. Now he's up to 8th, only 1 place behind Frederick Schoenstein.
That is a fascinating movement. Of course, he is on newer tires as well, and newer fuel and more fuel. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. And if I recall correctly, because every pit stop, the drivers do change the tires, so the tires are never really such big of an issue around here. The biggest issue around here is the fuel. So I guess that's why we also see drivers pushing the tires a bit more than we would usually. But with all that said, I think we have Kyle Siegel attacking Halili into turn 1. Or on the start-finish line, he's going to have it in turn 1 already. As he goes a bit wide, and he was very lucky to have Halili already. Otherwise, he may have hit him by the own understeer he has gotten. But now Halili has his back, and he is coming out faster out of turn 2, side by side with Senel just behind him, trying to use the draft to possibly his advantage and possibly attack Siegel. Into turn 4, no. Turn 1 possibly, but now Siegel also has draft from Halili. This is quite exciting stuff for 4th place, in fact. As Siegel goes quite quick on Halili into the first corner, they go side by side, nearly touching, so very close. Siegel drops off a bit with quite a bit of lift, it appears. He now has the inside light, which means he will be quite a bit slower, but he now has a draft on Halili again. As Schoenstein just about overtook Senel. So Senel just suddenly dropping off. And now we have a bit more of a gap between all of those battling. Wilson is going to try his luck on Senel. And can he do it in turn 1? He is side by side, wheel to wheel, and he's done it in turn 1. Those fresher tires definitely helping the Britishman, sorry. As Senel makes a mistake and suddenly goes on the inside apron for some reason, and he's lost all of his momentum. Now behind Ali Ferry and Nick Bruce, which are side by side.
Oh, we have Sherwin Van der Sloot crashing.
Full yellow, turn 4.
Van der Sloot crashed, all his engine on fire. He will not continue to drive. The Cantonia also crashed. He has no front wing, but he has all of his wheels together. Let's see what happened there, but that we do have full course yellow.
I switched to him just as it happened. It looked like he lost it coming out of turn 3 and hit the inside wall, bounced back up across the track and hit Di Domenicantonio just as he was coming through turn 4.
Oh my god, that is definitely what happened there. What happened was Sherwin lost it on the apex of turn 3, and then the car wouldn't turn to the right anymore. And he tried to slow the car down, but the car wouldn't turn outside of the wall. And he hit the wall on the inside, which then thrown him onto the track. He had no control over the car anymore at that point. And Di Domenicantonio at full speed just hit his rear, which ended his engine life. Can we see him go? He's bunching them up right now, and can we... When is he going to go? Actually, he's going quite late again. And he goes off. Quite late, but nowhere near as late as the first time he went off, leaving Ali Ferry, and now Schornstein right behind Senel again, fighting for third place, which is absolutely immense for a driver who started that far down. As Ali Ferry's barely keeping it together for turn 2. So this could be quite an interesting race start, hopefully without any further issues. And the only issue I can see possibly happening is Norman Bruce and Ollie McGowan fighting. But, oh no, we see Siegel and Wallace getting a bit squirrely, one after another, for 5th place. As now, Halili and Bruce catch up to them, which means that we're going to have a 4-way scrap for 5th place. This could be quite interesting, as Halili tries to go on the inside of Siegel, but just doesn't have the speed yet. But Wallace is trying to run away, while Siegel is just trying to fend off Halili and Bruce. Now, will he have enough draft to hold off Halili? That's also possible, because he is still fairly close to Wallace and still is getting enough, as Halili does slide a bit with Bruce right there behind them. Oh dear. This is a this is finally a clean start to a race, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. So hope we can get some green flag running in quite a long stint.
Yeah, this could be very interesting. Maybe we're going to finally see some green flag pit stops. That'd be quite in.
The first green flag pit stop will be James Wilson, because don't forget he pitted 20 or 10 laps previous to everyone else in the field.
Indeed,
obviously why he's up front.
I think he will be pitting in about 20-25 laps at most. But that's my prediction. I'm not entirely sure again. These cars are a bit of a black magic to me at the moment, since I have not driven them. As Halili goes for an overtake on Siegel in the first corner. No. He just closes up to the very rear, but doesn't attack. Going smart, nearly hitting the wall on the outside of turn 1, Halili is going to try and possibly gain some draft into turn 3. Very close stuff again, but drop back a bit after that near contact with the wall. Keeping a lot more of a tighter line than Siegel is. That could possibly damage his tires as well. They may not be as touchy as tires for road courses, but they're still not very... they still will not take your abuse, as Halili goes right in behind Siegel's wing.
And we've just hit the quarter mark in this race at 50 laps.
We will hit it next lap, because we had that one.
Yes.
Yes. We did have one safety car lap, which kind of offsets it all by 1 lap. Of course, Siegel now fending off Halili. Halili seems to have a lot of a better exit in turn, as Halili hits the wall in turn 3. That's not good, but he has kept it together and seems to have been light enough contact. I was about to say, he has typically better exit on turn 4, but now he has to fend off Norman Bruce, who's closing up quite rapidly.
The battle at the front starting to get interesting. Ali Ferry was 0.8 of a second behind James Wilson after this after the restart just happened, and now she is within 0.4 of a second behind James Wilson.
You are very correct, and we can see a battle for the lead forming up. I think what I'm seeing a pattern here. For the first couple of laps, the leader always has a bit of an advantage, because possibly the tires, when they're not up to their heated up temperature, as Ali Ferry goes for an overtake into turn 1. Can she do it? Can she lead the Indy 500 at Race Department? No, she can't. She backed off in turn 1. Very smart play. You don't want to hit your fellow driver in turn 1 when you're fighting for the lead. Still, the battle very close. But of course, as I was saying, the tires seem to be quite a bit of an effect initially, and the driver in front does not actually has a bit of an advantage in many ways because it seems to have more grip. But then it seems like he gets a bit more. The tires seem to get somewhat more understeery. And just overheat in the front, and the driver behind you has less grip on the front, which somehow seems to mean better turning possibly, but not less grip, but less aero.
Could this be our first green flag pit stop as Stan Senel comes into the pits?
Stan Senel does come into pits, but hasn't he pitted fairly recently? So that would be a bit of a weird one. I may be mistaken, but he has come into pits, and he is definitely stopping without any real damage, as it seems.
Battle for the lead now, very close. 0.3 of a second between the two cars.
Yes, indeed, that is very close. And is he going to go for an attack? Is she going to go for an attack into the first corner?
Now this could be interesting because they're about to catch Alex Di Domenicantonio, possibly through turn 3, maybe turn 4.
That would be a bit of an advantage to James Wilson, to be honest, if anything. He would have some draft and possibly be able to get away from Ali. But Ali closing in again and going to probably try to be as close as she can through turn 3 and 4 to possibly attack into turn 1 as Wilson goes a bit... does seem to have a bit of a tire issues on the front right. He is turning a bit too much, it seems, and dragging it off in turn 3. As Ali Ferry does get a bit of draft, and no, she can't do anything into turn 1.
Now this could be quite interesting because with Alex in front of James, there could be a double draft now, which
possibly
could really help out Ali.
It didn't really help, but Wilson seems to have been slowed down a bit for turn 3, so Ali is very close again, and I think Ali is missing a bit of top speed, to be honest. And James is definitely very, very quick in a straight line. But Ali Ferry right behind James. She'll try to possibly attack into turn 1 now. She is on the very back end of him. No, just not enough speed. Now, let's see what she can do as Shane Burke exits right between them, but nothing ordinary as Ali Ferry closing in again into turn 3, but no, that's not going to be a move again. What do you think of that kind of difference between the two cars? Because we've seen that some cars can overtake so much easier and draft, but she can't. But are they going to go side by side? Yes, they are. Side by side into turn 1 again. But Ali bit in front, and she does lead the race for that lap, but without any lead at all, no plus or minus. And she leads the race now.
But as you've just mentioned, with their straight line speed deficit, will James Wilson be able to pass her easier?
I would think so, as it appeared, but possibly they're just both running on the RPM limiter, so who knows? But now Ali Ferry is leading the race. I'm not sure if that's her first lead of the race in this series, but she's properly leading the race. As Wilson's sliding though, she's still outside the wall in turn 4, and she's actually dropping. Possibly overheated tires, as I said. There's a battle for 4th place, by the way, between Wallace and Sigel. They were side by side for turn 1, I think. They're into turn 2 now. Yes, that is correct. And they're very close together with Halili closing up on them. Seemingly. As Wilson is starting to lose time now to Ali, so very good on the British driver. So let's see. Can Wallace challenge Segel at all, or is Segel quite significantly quicker? I think the answer is the second option, but Halili is seemingly a lot quicker than Wallace as well, and he may be trying to go for 5th place now. As Halili slightly touches the wall after turn 1. but so very close to Wallace now. Can he overtake Wallace into turn 3? He goes side by side, wheel to wheel, and he has the inside line, but Wallace has the faster line on the outside. So this is going to be quite an interesting battle, but no, the inside line is so much better for turn 4, and Halili has got that 5th place from Wallace. As we have Matthew Beavis on pit lane again. That's not a scheduled pit stop, is it?
No, he's 4 laps down, and he was recently in the pit stop. Maybe he's might be calling it quits. Is he? No, he seems to be getting new tyres.
Why would that be now? Has he flat spotted them somehow? But that would be unlikely. I would urge you to check the gap between Ali Ferry and James Wilson. She's putting on some hurt.
Well, James Wilson's just coming to the pit lane.
Yeah, James Wilson just coming to pit lane. I think he just ran out of tires and fuel.
Don't forget he pitted about 10-15 laps earlier than most of the rest of the field due to that first caution flag.
Indeed. So that's our second green flag pit stop. That's actually planned, possibly. Now, can we see how long Ali Ferry is going to go? I'm not sure when she pitted. Would you? Do you recall exactly?
I don't recall what time what lap she pitted, but I can definitely make a note of what lap James Wilson has pitted.
Well, she's definitely just gone around once more, so she's definitely still fine on fuel and tires. So, possibly trying to go as far as she can, but Frederick Schornstein is in 2nd place, would you believe it? That is insane for, again, someone who started from the very rear.
Schornstein and Wilson both started on the last row of the grid, and it just shows your position in qualifying doesn't always mean that you will stay there, definitely in qualifying, but...
Of course. Now, Sam, would you mind taking over the lead commentary for about 2 minutes? I have to go somewhere for a second.
No problem. Now we have Matthew Beavis in the pit lane again. This is rather odd since he just came into the pit lane a lap previous, and it looks like he's going into the garages, and he might be... His race might be over. Yep, Matthew Beavis has now not finished the race, and he has left the session. We have Tal Segal and Halili battling it out in turn 4, I believe. They're just separated by 0.3 of a second, followed up by Campbell Wallace. It'll be very interesting to see when Ali Ferry will be coming into the pits, since James Wilson pitted 3 laps ago. We'll get an idea on the lap difference between their pit stops. But now Campbell Wallace has closed up to the group of Halili and Segal as they make their way through turn 3.
And I have returned, so I see some drama has occurred with Matthew Beavis. He has retired.
Yeah, he came into the pit lane just straight after leaving the pit lane, so maybe he just thought there's no chance of getting the car to work as good as it should after qualifying.
Has DW McIntyre just been in pits, or why is he so slow? I'm just wondering if he's just missing top speed because of damage, possibly again, or
It must be damage.
Yeah, it must be damage actually. He's not even hitting 5th gear for corners, which is so unlike Indianapolis. He's not hitting 6th gear, which is definite sign of having damage. But
It looks like Halili's about to make a move on Segal.
That is very correct. Segal is going for it, and he is in front of Halili at the moment, but Halili having Wallace right behind him as well. So this is a 3-way scrap again. Wallace going for that attack on Halili, but now
They go
Halili gets
3 wide down the back straight. No.
No, just too wide. I do think that Wallace made a mistake of pulling out a bit too early from the draft because Halili just got that much more draft right after and just gained so much more speed. But now Segal going for his move. Did they touch? No. Hopefully. As we have more pitters, Stan Senol and Shane Burke. And Segal again in front of Halili. I think there's going to be quite a bit of an exchanging of positions.
Stan Senol is missing a front wing, rear wing,
yes,
and front right.
Indeed, I just heard that. Oh my god. He has actually somehow crashed into the pit lane and he's gone full speed through the pit lane without front and rear wing. Something is seriously off. It looked like nearly a controller disconnect because he just completely didn't even try to miss the pit lane. Of course, that would mean that he got quite a serious penalty as well. Would probably be a stop and go, because that was speeding by probably 2 or 3-fold in the pit lane for the entirety of it. As we have a scrap for third place still, Halili and Segal still going at it. That's... No, Ali is putting up some gaps now. She's 4 seconds in front of Fredericks, which is not that big of a deal, because it was like that for quite a while. But she's already 15.5 seconds in front of Halili, as Segal is seemingly losing quite a bit to Halili now. And Wallace may possibly think of overtaking him for 4th place.
Of course, Norman Bruce has now joined that fight as well.
As Ali Ferry pits in for green flag pit stop. And so does Shane Burke.
Shane Burke's been in the pits quite a lot, actually.
Indeed. Not entirely sure why. He's been in pit... Yes. In pits last time as well. Or something like that. Or lost a lot of time. And in pits about 10 laps ago, so something must be going wrong for Shane.
So I've just checked my notes, and James Wilson pitted on lap 61. And Ali Ferry has just pitted on lap 70, so there seems to be a 9-lap difference on strategy between possibly the two leaders.
As Norman Bruce also pits in. And lo and behold, we have Frederick Schornstein as our race leader. So our championship leader actually decided that it would be a good idea to lead this race as well. So that's quite a feat after what he was saying 2 weeks ago. He doesn't actually like this track.
Now this is interesting. James Wilson
but he's struggling,
is still behind Ali Ferry after the green flag pit stops.
Ali Ferry gaining quite a bit then. Ali Ferry having a very, very good pace. If you look at Frederick Schornstein, he is struggling a lot through turn 3 and 4 as well, especially. He's seemingly turning in a lot and really destroying his front tires. Now Senel unlapped himself from Norman Bruce as well. As Ferry is lapping Senel, and now this is going to get quite interesting for the battle for the lead. Of course, Schornstein, I think, only took the right-hand side tires from the driver's perspective, which could very much mean that he may run out of tires at one point. The inside tires are also getting quite a bit of beating. At least with his driving style from what it looks like. As Ali Ferry is actually very close. Do you think James Wilson will try and regain that 3rd spot and try to catch up to Ali Ferry with those fresher tires?
I think, well, James Wilson pitted on lap 61 and he just re-pitted at lap 76, so he pitted 6 laps later than Ali Ferry, so now he's got 6 laps extra fuel and fresher tyres down here, so it's going to be definitely interesting to see how this develops.
Of course, and that's as long as Ferry doesn't actually catch up and overtake Schornstein, which is still a possibility. This is definitely. Go on.
As we mentioned earlier, the first few laps after the caution period, the leader is still out of reach of second place's draft. So
Yes, but now Schornstein has hit it in that perfect moment, and he does have all the fuel, but he doesn't have the tires. So we'll see what happens now, because he will probably overheat them very quickly with the way he's driving. From what I'm seeing, at the very least, from the commentator spoof, as I would say. Although this time he hasn't really scrubbed that much off of them. Is there any battles going on? Well, Wilson is still trying to catch up to Wallace, and Ferry. Oh, I heard some noise.
Stander Sennels hit the inside pit lane entrance.
Oh dear, that could possibly end up being a caution, is it? He can't seem to turn the car around very well. Oh dear. But he is going to make it into pit stops before an intervention is required and there's no debris on track. Therefore, I think we're quite safe from pace cars having to come out once more.
I believe that was the 6th caution.
Yes, it was. You would be correct. So now, Ali Ferry is kind of keeping her distance from Schornstein, about 0.6 of a second. But as we've seen earlier, the driver in front seems to have quite a bit of a disadvantage after a couple laps with their tires going off a lot quicker. So we're just going to have to wait and see how Ali Ferry fares in this challenge, I should put. As Schornstein is already starting to seemingly lose a bit of ground.
And after that restart, Shane Burke has now officially retired from the race.
So that means we are down to just 9 drivers. As James Wilson is about to attack Wallace. Can he do it in turn 1? No, he decides better of it, and he did not have enough speed and overlap to actually manage it. But can he do it? He's definitely quicker. Seemingly at the very least at the moment, so it's just a matter of time, and if he can actually catch enough draft. Of course, here a single mistake could cost you not only a spot.
Oh, Frederick Schornstein's hit the wall on the inside.
Frederick Schornstein has hit the wall on the inside and now hit the wall on the outside. He can't control the car very well. As he's getting hit, oh no.
Tal Segel has just crashed into the back of him.
Tal Segel has just crashed indeed.